All right, guys, what's up? It's Dante from East Coast Gridiron, and it's my favorite type of year where we can kind of get into what these big boards and what these mock drafts are going to look like coming off the eve of the NFL Combine. I feel like it was a good time to go ahead and release my big board. Nothing is really going to change. The pro days don't really do too much for me outside of just seeing what guys are feeling comfortable at home. I don't count those as much as I do like Senior Bowls and Combine stuff. And more importantly, what's weighted most for me is 95% of their game film or games that they play in after the season, like the bowl games and the Senior Bowl and East West Shrine Bowl and things like that. So I'm going to give you 20 players. I'm going to go down the list of a couple that I think are, going to be shocking for some people, but actually we'll just go through the whole thing so you guys can see, and I'll give what my little tidbit is on each one of these players, starting with number one, Bryce Young. I mean, what can you say about the guy? Came off not only a Heisman year to come in to a season where he didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. It seemed like Jahmyr Gibbs was like his number one receiver in a lot of the games that he played in, and to me, this year, I came into the season saying that I don't think that he's going to go any further. Like, he went to his peak when he won the Heisman, and I was, sadly mistaken. I'm glad to say that I was wrong about that, and that I thought C.J. Stroud had a higher ceiling than him. And I still feel that we haven't seen C.J. Stroud's ceiling, but with Bryce Young, the thing about him is he showed greatness in adversity. Just look at the Texas game. You can talk about several different games he had throughout the season, but that one in particular, I mean, put the feather in the cap for me and he's the overall number one player in this draft. Jalen Carter, there's no national championship season without him being on that defensive line. He has everything that you want in an interior D lineman. He played on the outside. The guy is versatile. He's big. He's strong. This is outside of the issues legally that he has going on right now. We don't get political here, but Jalen Carter is my number two overall guy, and I think number one and number two, it's not even close. Devin Witherspoon, can't say enough good things about him either. He's the best overall cornerback. Now, honorable mention would be Clark Phillips to me, but Devin Witherspoon is definitely that guy. The Michigan game, how close it was, would not be that close on paper without Devin Witherspoon and Chase Brown being on Illinois. So number three spot for me, he kind of rose up on the boards, but I don't think he's the clear number one there. Number four for me, CJ Stroud. Like I said, I think he's the trickiest prospect to go into scouting because Ryan Day, I already said that I think he's one of the most overrated coaches out there. And with CJ Stroud, personally, I still don't think he's met his ceiling as a player, and he's going to continue to get better. Had a really good combine. And, say what you want, that game against Georgia, they were in that game because of him, and that was the most aggressive play calling that I've seen out of Ohio State in a very, very long time. And I think coaching and play calling, it really kept CJ Stroud behind. So he's very, very interesting going into the draft, but he's my number four guy. Number five, say what you want, Will Anderson Jr. dropped the ball this year as far as production. Came off an incredible year, but that was just Alabama in general. And he's in my number five spot just based off of talent, not off of production. To be completely honest with you, and it just seems like the number five spot is the right spot for him. That way we're not overvaluing somebody that didn't really produce like he did the previous year. Jordan Addison, former Biletnikoff winner. I know he was hurt several times this year, but we watched his film and it was incredible. He can route run. He's quick. Doesn't have the top end speed that you would expect him to have because he's so fast breaking off of routes. Has incredible hands. He's the best overall wide receiver in this draft to me. Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. I said it before and I'll say it again. They had the biggest O-line in the country for the last couple of years, and he was a big part of that at tackle, and he's going to continue to be good. I think he's the most pro-ready tackle in this class, and that's why I have him at the number 7. Brian Bresee from Clemson. Man, that Wake Forest game really showed you all that you need to see coming off the eve of his sister passing away from cancer, and that whole team was affected by that, but he played out of his mind. And the only thing that you have to worry about with him is really the injury history, right? Everything else you really do like out of him. He's strong. He gets around blocks very, very easy. He's if you had to mold somebody as definitely the number 2 interior defensive lineman, it's just unfortunate that Jalen Carter is so damn good. But Brian Bresee, outside of the injury issues, is very well-rounded, just like Jalen Carter is. There's not really a bad thing on tape that you see out of him. He just doesn't have the production and the numbers like Jalen Carter had, and he definitely is my number 8 guy. Dalton Kincaid, man, let me tell you, Utah's been so fun to watch the last couple seasons. He's been a really big part of that. I mean, the guy is literally can be, and I don't like to give, too high projections for players. I mean, how can you not compare him to Travis Kelce? Sure hands, quick, great route runner. Not the best blocking tight end. It's not what they asked him to do out in Utah, but out of all the physical characteristics that you want for a tight end, as far as in the passing game as a receiving tight end, he has it. There's 2 other tight ends on this list. Tight end class to me has been pretty incredible this year, but he's definitely leading the pack for me. Mohamed Ibrahim is my favorite running back this class. I think he is the best running back in this class. The only knock on him is age, and that's why people have him very, very low, like projected 4th or 5th round pick, which I don't understand. 19 straight 100-yard seasons. Had a hell of a game against Iowa, over 200 yards and like 6 yards a carry, something ridiculous like that. Has a score record for touchdowns. Loves being physical ones, loves running up the middle. I mean, his top end speed is one thing that is going to concern a lot of people, but he's faster on film than what people give him credit for too. Every rep matters to him. I love Mohamed Ibrahim, man. There's not a bad notch that I have for him outside of his injury history too. But he tore his Achilles the previous year, came back and ran for 1,600 yards and almost, over 20 touchdowns, I believe. So come on, man. Mohamed Ibrahim is that guy. I can't say enough good things about him. Keon White, watched him at the Senior Bowl. Didn't really know who he was before then. Went back and watched his tape from Georgia Tech. And I know he's been playing inside and outside lineman for a little bit now. Came to Georgia Tech, put up like 7.5 sacks and like 25 tackles. And at the Senior Bowl, to me, he was probably the number 1 guy in our book. We couldn't keep our eyes off of him, man. He was in the backfield almost every damn time. I think that he might go to the Steelers because of what we've been hearing through the grapevine is Mike Tomlin really loves the guy. So if Mike Tomlin really likes him, I really like him too. So Keon White, I have not seen an edge rusher like him in a very, very long time. And I want to say this dude is like his honorable mention, but Byron Young showed out at the combine running a 4.4. As I described it before, Byron Young being at number 12, deservedly so, out of Tennessee. Not the one from Alabama, but the one from Tennessee. Again, Senior Bowl performance was in the practice was awesome. I mean, you see nothing but dirt come off the guy's cleats in the back of him when he was putting left and right tackles back up against the quarterback. He's going to be a really good player for a very, very long time too. Broderick Jones out of Georgia, offensive lineman. I think that he's probably a work in progress too, but you don't spell national championship team in the way that they played without him either. Not having the backs that they used to have in Kenny McIntosh, but he was a big part of why not only Stetson Bennett was getting the protection that he got, but why the running game was still successful in his stint at Georgia. Jackson Smith-Njigba, everybody remembers the game that he went off with 300 yards. I think he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game, in the bowl game last year. Battled some injuries, and that's like the biggest knock on him, but you remember they've had some receivers out there, and he was a big reason why they had success. Remember that 1,600-yard season? I remember. Do you remember it? Bijan Robinson, everybody knows I'm not the highest on him, but whoever can mold his running style into saying that this is what you are, Bijan, this is who you're going to be moving forward. To me, he's a power back that has finesse moves and tries to be twitchy, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. On tape, I've seen some things where it's like, why didn't you just cut left or right and get that one-on-one matchup with the safety? You're probably going to run him over. But then you also see him where he takes a 5-yard carry and makes it into a 25-yard touchdown. So Bijan's got talent. I just hope that there's a running back coach that's out there to mold him. I just think Mohamed Ibrahim is a superior version of Bijan. But the one thing that Bijan has over Mohamed is the age. Zay Flowers showed out at the Senior Bowl. Best body control wide receiver. Put on some weight. We've seen that, so he's disciplined enough to know that he's lacking in some areas. I think, like Steve Smith had said, this might be the next Steve Smith type of receiver if he continues to play like a dog that he is. I mean, seen him at Boston College, absolutely insane hands as well. Outside of Jackson Smith-Njigba and Jordan Addison, this is going to be the guy moving forward that I think everybody's going to have some eyes on. He might start out in the slot, but I think eventually he could be that next, X or Z receiver that people want on their team. Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, everybody was saying he's the best tackle in the class. Outside of that, what he did at Northwestern can't be denied. They had a lot of success because of him. The running back hole, I've had a really good Senior Bowl as well. But Peter, everybody knows what he's about. I think he's going to be a good player. Payne Durham, my goodness, best blocking tight end in this class. Up there with the hands of Dalton Kincaid, and is not on anybody's top 15 tight end list. And I don't understand why. They have Luke Musgrave up there. I love Luke Musgrave. To me, he's a diamond in the rough that nobody knows about, man. I don't know why. He's awesome. Him and Charlie Jones had big years out there at Purdue. Will catch everything thrown to him. Your blue collar, zip him up, get you out the way type of tight end. I love it, man. He's definitely deserving to be an 18 on everybody's list if he's not, or at least be looked at. Why is this guy overlooked? Jack Campbell, one of the best tackling linebackers in college football, award-winning linebacker. Another blue-collar guy out of Iowa. Love him, man. Love everything about him. He was really good at the combine, showed you that he ran every drill like it mattered, and his projection for me just kept going up and up and up. And then we're going to round that out with Michael Mayer. Hey, when you get 100 targets a year, you're almost forced to be good, but that also puts a lot of pressure on you to perform as well. He was the brightest spot for Notre Dame over the last couple seasons. Everybody knows who he is. He's, if he's not number one, he's the number 2 tight end on most people's list. On my list personally, he's going to sit there as the number 3 tight end, but rounding out my top 20. So what is your top 20? Let me know down in the comments section, man. I think this year's draft is so interesting in so many different ways, but I know this is the not so popular big board, but my big boards are never popular. My mock drafts are never popular. I just, to me, the eye in the sky doesn't lie when I watch the film and watch these players play in games. So, I'd like to see who you guys project as being underrated that's on your big board. I hope you guys are just ballsy enough to form your own opinion at the end of the day, but just make sure that you can back it up with the film as well. So with that being said, this is everybody's favorite couch quarterback, Dante, here for East Coast Gridiron. Enjoy the draft. Put those mock drafts, put those big boards in the comments section. I want to see who you got moving forward. Have a good one, guys.